What's up, everybody? Logan Alex CPA here with another card review. Today I'm taking a look at the American Express Gold Card. This is one of the premium travel cards from American Express, and let's not beat around the bush. It does come with an annual fee of $250 Roonies a year. So let's get that out of the way right up front. But on the other hand, the Amex Gold does really offer some lucrative benefits that can make it a great value for certain people, depending on their spending and travel habits. Now, the next tier up from the Amex Gold is the Amex Platinum. I'm not going to talk about that card in this video. However, I will be putting out a comparison video in the next few weeks comparing the American Express Gold to the American Express Platinum. Also, at some point, I'll be releasing a comparison video between the Amex Gold and the Chase Sapphire Preferred, because oftentimes people are deciding between those two cards. So as usual, this review is going to have three parts. First, I'll go over the features of the Amex Gold or lack thereof. Then I'll give you the pros and cons of the Amex Gold. And finally, at the end of the video, I'll walk through some examples of kinds of people or situations where I think the Amex Gold would be a great fit, along with two kinds of people or situations where I'd probably recommend you get another card. As always, I have my link in the description to the Amex Gold. If you use my link and you are approved for the Amex Gold, my channel will get a small commission. This is at no extra cost to you, but I'll get a little bonus if you sign up through that link. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into it. As I said, the Amex Gold's annual fee is $250 per year, and American Express is currently running a welcome offer where you'll receive 60,000 membership rewards points if you spend $4,000 or more in the first 6 months that you have the Amex Gold. Now, unlike some of the other cards I reviewed, your Amex Gold points don't exactly equal 1 cent each, and there are specific ways you need to redeem them if you want to get the full value. For example, your points are worth a penny each if you use your points to book flights, to upgrade an existing flight, to pay for a New York City taxi. That's weirdly specific, I know, or to get gift cards to particular retailers such as Bed Bath & Beyond, Olive Garden, Chili's, Banana Republic, Old Navy, or Home Depot. Your points are also worth a penny each or possibly more if you transfer your points into another rewards program. I'll talk about that a little later in this video. On the other hand, if you redeem your points for some other kinds of gift cards, your points will actually be worth less than a penny each. For example, while like I mentioned, you can redeem your points for a Bed Bath & Beyond gift card at a rate of a penny each. 2,500 points gets you a $25 gift card. 5,000 points is $50, and so on and so forth. But if you were to redeem your membership rewards points for a Starbucks gift card, they would only be worth 0.7 of a penny each. You can see here, instead of only 2,500 points for a $25 Starbucks gift card, you would need the upward amount of 3,571 points. And if you divide $25 by 3,571 points, you'll see that the points in this case are only worth 0.7 cents each. This difference in point valuation is true for many of the other redemption options through American Express. For example, you can use your points to check out while online shopping, and depending on where you're shopping, your points could be worth as little as half a penny each, or possibly as much as the full 1 cent valuation each. Also, if you simply use your points to cover existing charges on your statement, kind of like a statement credit, then your points are only going to be worth 0.6 cents each. So bringing this all back to the 60,000 point welcome offer, this means the welcome offer is worth only $360 if you redeem those points for a statement credit, and you could get even less than that if you use those points at the wrong kind of gift card or online checkout from a brand with a low redemption value. On the other hand, the 60,000 point welcome offer could be worth $600 in value if you use those points to pay for flights or to get a gift card for one of the brands that offers a full dollar for every 100 points you redeem. I'm going to press the pause button right here and point out that the Chase Sapphire Preferred sign-up bonus right now, as of the time of recording, actually blows the American Express Golds out of the water. Obviously, the introductory offer isn't the only thing you look at in a card, but the Sapphire Preferred's 100,000 point bonus right now is worth $1,000 in statement credits, or $1,250 if you redeem your Sapphire Preferred sign-up bonus points on travel through Chase Ultimate Rewards or through the Chase Pay Yourself Back program. There's a link to all the details about the Sapphire Preferred's massive sign-up bonus right now at the top of the screen, as well as in the description below. I made a dedicated video on the preferred sign-up bonus right now. All right, back to the Amex Gold. As I mentioned, one of the ways to get the full value for your points is to transfer them to a third-party rewards program, similar to what you can do through other card rewards programs. Essentially, how this works is you earn points, you earn American Express membership rewards points through purchases, and then you can convert those points to points at a third-party rewards program with one of American Express's airline or hotel partners and potentially get even more value for your points through that partner's program. Here are the possible airline partners: Aer Lingus, Aeromexico Club, Air Canada Aeroplan, Air France KLM Flying Blue, Alitalia, ANA Mileage Club, Avianca, British Airways, Cathay Pacific Asia Miles, Delta Sky Miles, Emirates Skywards, Etihad Guest, Hawaiian Airlines, Iberia Plus, JetBlue TrueBlue, Qantas Loyalty, Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer, and Virgin Atlantic. And here are the hotel partners: Choice Privileges, Hilton Honors, and Marriott Bonvoy. Now, just to be clear, the value of the point transfer itself depends on the program you're moving your points into. First of all, not all point transfers are one-to-one. For example, transferring your points from American Express to Air France KLM is one-to-one. 1,000 American Express membership rewards points can get you 1,000 Flying Blue miles. But for JetBlue's TrueBlue program, it's not one-to-one. 250 membership rewards points can be transferred to JetBlue TrueBlue for only 200 TrueBlue points. So this stuff can get kind of complicated, right? And on top of that, you have to determine for yourself how much a point at a travel partner is worth based on the trip you're planning, right? You divide the cash price of the flight or the hotel stay you're looking at by the number of that travel partner's rewards program's points or miles necessary to book it, and that tells you the value per point. And then you have to compare that to the transfer ratio with American Express and see if you're getting more value than a penny each for each American Express point you transfer to the travel partner. If you are, the transfer is probably worth it. If you're not, then you're probably better off keeping your points in American Express and extracting a penny per point value for them through the means that I discussed previously in this video. All right, so at this point, I've discussed at length the 60,000 point welcome offer and how much it's worth and how much American Express membership rewards points are worth in general. But now I want to talk about earning points with the Amex Gold beyond just the welcome offer. First off, you'll get 4 points for every dollar you spend on dining. This includes both sitting down at a restaurant as well as takeout and delivery. And there's no limit on how many points you can earn in that way. You'll also get 4 points for every dollar you spend at U.S. supermarkets, up to $25,000 per year. And that's a pretty high limit, right? $25,000 a year is over $2,000 a month spent on groceries. So if you spend more than $2,000 a month on groceries, let me know in the description below how many children you have. I'm very curious about that. I should mention that certain types of stores are excluded from the supermarket category here. Let me read you the explanation from the American Express website. Specialty food stores, small corner grocery stores, gourmet shops, natural food stores, and large superstores, including online superstores such as Amazon, warehouse clubs such as BJ's Club, and I imagine Costco, Sam's Club is in there too, and big box stores such as Walmart. These are all examples of merchants that are not eligible for additional reward. So, the website says that Gold Card holders get 4 times the usual rewards on groceries. But the caveat here is that you have to purchase your groceries at U.S. supermarkets, right? And how Amex defines U.S. supermarkets is specific, right? So Amex seems to be envisioning here your typical large chain supermarkets like Kroger, for example, and all the brands underneath it. So in cash value, this is basically 4% back if you're savvy about how you redeem your points, redeeming them in the ways I described earlier that yield a penny per point. For example, if you use them to book flights, you're going to gift cards from specific brands. But again, if you use your points just for a statement credit, then your 4 points will only end up yielding 2.4% back in rewards value, because when you redeem for a statement credit, your points are only worth 0.6 cents per point. You will also get 3 points for every dollar you spend on flights booked directly through airlines or through AmexTravel.com. So booking a flight through a site like Expedia, something like that, won't count. But booking a flight directly on the airline you're flying's website or an AmexTravel.com would count for the 3 points per dollar spent. But like I said, if you book through Expedia, for instance, or some other travel aggregator site, you'd only get 1 point per dollar spent. This brings me to the last category here, everything else, meaning that you will get 1 point for every dollar you spend on any non-bonus categories, right? And that does include supermarket purchases beyond that initial $25,000 per year. This includes buying flights on travel aggregator sites like Expedia, and this includes everything else that you can use the card for, right? Shopping at Walmart, Amazon, movie tickets, whatever, right? Again, I want to remind you that these 4 points, 3 points, 1 points per dollar isn't the same as 4%, 3%, 1% back. As I mentioned, the value you derive is going to depend on how you redeem your points. You could certainly get that full, penny per point valuation with certain redemption methods, but if you go with the statement credit right, then 4 points, 3 points, 1 point will only translate to 2.4%, 1.8%, and 0.6% respectively in terms of real dollar value. All right, so that covers all the ways you can earn and redeem points with the Amex Gold. That being said, there are a number of other travel and dining rewards that come with the Amex Gold outside of the welcome offer and the point system on everyday spending. First, you'll get $10 in Uber cash per month. This can be used on Uber or Uber Eats, but this credit will expire at the end of each month, so you can't save it up for a few months and use it all in one ride or something like that. Also, the Amex Gold is currently offering a free Uber Eats pass for 12 months, which gets you unlimited $0 delivery fees and 5% off Uber Eats restaurant orders of $15 or more. There's also a similar $10 monthly credit for dining that can be used for Grubhub, Seamless, Cheesecake Factory, Ruth's Chris, Boxed, and some Shake Shack locations. Again, you have to use that $10 before it expires at the end of each month. Beyond that, American Express offers a program called the Hotel Collection. This includes over 600 hotels around the world, and if you use your card to book a stay of at least 2 nights at one of these hotels, then we put at the top of the list for room upgrades. You'll also get a $100 credit to use on certain activities at the hotel. That could cover things like food and drinks at the hotel bar, admission to a spa or resort, etc. You can even get 1 credit per room for up to 3 rooms. So as long as you use your Amex Gold, you could receive up to $300 in credits per trip. So these rewards can get a little complicated, right? It's not as easy as just, you get 2% cash back or something like that. Obviously, it's inconvenient to have to spend $10 each month in order to take full advantage instead of just getting $120 per year. But if you do take advantage of these benefits every month, you can essentially make up for the $250 annual fee just with these benefits. All right, so those are the monetary travel and dining rewards you can get with the American Express Gold Card, but there are some other travel benefits that could make it a great option for you if you're a frequent traveler. Most obvious one is that this card does not come with any foreign transaction fee. Some cards from American Express and other issuers are going to charge a small fee for purchases you make outside the country on the card. Usually this is around 3%, but if you have an Amex Gold, you don't have to worry about paying more when you're out of the country. Now, I do want to mention here that there are some minor differences between using this card in the U.S. and using it abroad. For example, 4 times rewards on groceries only applies to groceries bought at U.S. supermarkets. Okay, so you can't go to Monoprix in Paris, for example, and still get 4 points per dollar. Similarly, the $10 monthly Uber credit only works for orders and rides in the U.S., so there are some benefits that won't be available to you while you're abroad, but on the other hand, you don't have to worry about any foreign transaction fees being incurred on the card that you might be charged with other credit cards. So now let's get into more travel benefits here. The first one is insurance, which basically provides coverage for things like up to $500 for damage or loss to your luggage when you use your card to buy a plane, train, boat, or bus ticket. As with any insurance, there's a lot of fine print going on there. I'll put a link to the American Express Gold Card insurance terms and conditions in the description below if you'd like to check them out. If anybody out there has had direct experience with filing a claim with their American Express card, please let us all know how that went for you in the comments below. Gold card holders can also access the 24/7 Global Assist hotline, which can help you access various emergency services anytime you travel more than 100 miles from your home. Now, to be clear, the Global Assist hotline won't necessarily pay for all the expenses that come from those services, so you can't just call and expect everything to be covered. But if you need help while traveling and you're not sure where to go or who to call, it can be a good place to start. Finally, I want to highlight that your Gold Card may get you preferred seating, early access to tickets, and other perks at certain entertainment events, although availability for those benefits is obviously going to be on a case-by-case basis. All right, now that I've covered the main features that you're going to get with the American Express Gold Card, let's move on to the pros and cons, starting with the pros. Pro number 1 is going to be the reward structure, specifically with respect to travel, dining, and groceries. Remember, this card gives you 4 points on dining purchases and 4 points on up to $25,000 in annual grocery purchases at U.S. supermarkets. So let's say you spend $10,000 in each of those categories per year, so $20,000 in total, then you're going to end up with 80,000 points in those categories alone. Those 80,000 points would be worth just $480 as a statement credit, but they could be worth $800 if you redeem them for a gift card or make an online purchase from a brand that offers $1 for each 100 points, and potentially worth even more than $800 if you do the math and transfer your points to a participating airline or hotel partner where you could extract more than a penny per point value. On top of that, you'll also earn 3 points on travel booked through airlines or through AmexTravel.com. Again, the value of your points depends on how you redeem them. So if you always redeem for travel or for one of the gift cards where you can get $1 for 100 points, that means you'll get 4 cents per dollar spent on dining and groceries up to the limit, along with 3 cents per dollar spent when you book travel through AmexTravel.com or with the airline directly. So anyone who has high levels of spending in those categories is probably going to generate a lot of points over the course of a year. Pro number 2 is the extra travel and dining perks that aren't necessarily tied to your spending. Obviously, you're only going to get these points back when you spend money, but the Amex Gold does offer some flat dollar amount benefit, including the $10 monthly Uber credit, the $10 monthly dining credit, and even the $100 on-site credit that you'll receive when you stay at a hotel in the hotel collection. On top of that, this card also comes with all the travel perks I mentioned earlier, for example, the baggage insurance, rental car insurance, and Global Assist Hotline. Pro number 3 is that the Amex Gold has no foreign transaction fee. This isn't unique to this card, but it's still helpful to know that you can take this card with you when you travel abroad and not have to worry about incurring any extra charges. And finally, pro number 4 is the opportunity to transfer your membership rewards points outside of your American Express account for outsized rewards. For example, right now I'm planning a trip to Europe next year to take my parents who have never been to Europe, but they've always wanted to go. And by my math, it looks like I can get a value much greater than a penny per point for my membership rewards points if I redeem it for business class travel through a particular airline. Maybe once that is all squared away, I'll show you the math in a video here on the channel just to show you how valuable points can be when you transfer them to travel partners. And that doesn't just go for American Express membership rewards points, but also for Chase Ultimate Rewards points, Citi Thank You points as well. All right, let's move on to the cons. Con number 1 is the annual fee. You knew I was going to say that, right? This card costs $250 per year just to keep open. Now, in some cases, that might be worth it, and I'll get into some of those situations in a minute, but obviously, you're going to think twice before you spend $250 just to open a card. Of course, you'll make up that fee and then some when you get that welcome offer of 60,000 points, as long as you spend at least $4,000 on the card in your first 6 months of having it. Those points could be worth up to $600 when you redeem through American Express, possibly more if you transfer to third-party partners. But ultimately, that's just a one-time reward. You're going to continue being charged $250 every year that you don't close your account. So again, just because a credit card has a high annual fee doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad value, but you want to confirm that you're actually going to get enough out of the card to justify that cost. All right, second con I want to cover for the American Express Gold Card is the complicated and sometimes confusing redemption structure. Don't get me wrong, I think the American Express membership rewards program has a lot of benefits, and you can get outsized value for your points if you're smart, but it's just a bit more confusing than some other rewards programs, because even within the Amex platform itself, the value you get per point varies wildly. For example, I recently compared the Chase Sapphire Preferred to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, link to that video at the top of the screen and in the description below, and each point you earn with either one of those cards can be redeemed for 1 cent each, right? Either as a statement credit or as a deposit into a connected account. On top of that, you can get even additional value beyond that 1 cent rate, depending how you redeem your points. For example, with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, you can get a 25% bonus for redeeming your points for travel through the Chase Ultimate Rewards platform or through the Chase Pay Yourself Back program. With the Chase Sapphire Reserve, that bonus is 50%, so it's pretty straightforward, right? American Express membership rewards points, on the other hand, are kind of the opposite of Chase Ultimate Rewards points in that respect, in the sense that they're actually worth much less than a penny each when you redeem them for cash back, and 1 cent per point is actually the best value you can get if you redeem through the American Express platform itself without transferring it. So if you use your Amex Gold points to get a statement credit, you're only going to get 0.6 of a cent for each point you use. In other words, let's say you have 1,000 points, that's only going to amount to $6. Now, to be clear, as I mentioned previously in this video, there are ways to get that full 1 cent per point value on Amex itself. For example, you'll get that when you redeem for gift cards at some retailers, but if you redeem your points at other retailers, you'll get less than a penny per point value. So again, this isn't to say that Amex membership rewards points are a bad value. I just want to clarify that 1 point earned with the card isn't exactly the same as a point earned with a a Chase Sapphire card. And in fact, the American Express membership rewards program and the valuation of points is a bit more complicated and variable than other premium travel rewards programs. Con number 3 is that this card doesn't give you any access to airport lounges. Now, that might not sound like a big deal to some of you, but if you're a frequent flyer, then you might be looking for a card that will get you into those lounges in case you have a long layover or something like that. There are several premium travel cards that offer this kind of access for one lounge network or another, sometimes multiple lounge networks. For example, the Amex Platinum, which I'm going to review next year on the channel, will give you admission to over 1,200 lounges in 130 countries around the world. And this is one thing that separates those, those premium top-level travel cards from more of a mid-level option like the Amex Gold or the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Speaking of the Sapphire Preferred, another con of the Amex Gold right now is that while its welcome offer is strong, to be sure, at 60,000 membership rewards points, it is in fact dwarfed right now by the Chase Sapphire Preferred's 100,000 point welcome offer right now, especially considering that the Chase Sapphire Preferred has a much lower annual fee than the Amex Gold's annual fee. The Preferred's annual fee is only $95. I covered the new Chase Sapphire Preferred bonus in a previous video, link in the description below if you want more information on that card's bonus right now. So now that I've covered the pros and cons of the Amex Gold, you might be wondering whether you should get this card or get another card. So right now in this video, I'm going to talk about some situations where I would probably say, yeah, the Amex Gold is probably right for you. And then I'll talk about a couple situations where I would be more likely to probably recommend another card. First situation where I think the Amex Gold makes a lot of sense is for people who spend a lot on dining and groceries, right? And that makes sense, right? Those are the two categories where you'll get 4 times the usual number of points back if you use your American Express Gold Card. Although with respect to supermarket purchases, that increased rate only applies to your first $25,000 in spending per year at U.S. supermarkets. The other situation where the American Express Gold is going to be particularly valuable is when you're planning a trip with one of the American Express membership rewards travel partners, and transferring points will give you outsized value for them. I went into more detail about the strategy previously in the video. All right, let's move on to the situations where I might recommend another card over the American Express Gold. Number one is for people who have more balanced spending that doesn't necessarily line up with the bonus categories, particularly those who don't have another card to put those non-bonus purchases on. The Amex Gold offers really good rewards rates on those specific categories of dining and U.S. supermarkets, as well as travel, booked directly with airlines or through AmexTravel.com, but you're only going to get 1 point per dollar on everything else, which really limits the upside of the Amex Gold outside of a more complex setup where you use this card for those categories and a separate card like maybe the City Double Cash to get more rewards in the other categories. Link to my City Double Cash review is in the description below. So in most cases, I would not recommend getting this card by itself if you just want to have one card for everything, okay, unless the vast majority of your spending is on those bonus categories. But for most people, that's not the case. And so if you just have one card, this probably wouldn't be the best option. Instead, I would advise you to probably just get the Amex Gold and pair it with another card, unless the majority of your spending is truly in the Gold bonus categories. Another situation that's not a great fit for a card like the American Express Gold is you don't have enough spending, particularly in the bonus categories, to justify paying $250 per year just to keep the card open. There are a lot of rewards credit cards that come with a lower annual fee or no annual fee at all. Obviously, there are cases where the annual fee is going to be a good use of your money, but in general, cards with annual fees make sense for people with higher levels of spending who will get enough back in rewards to make up for what the annual fee costs every year. For example, the Capital One Saver One Cash Rewards Card, a link to that card is in the description below, offers 3% back on dining, entertainment, and grocery stores. Those rewards come in the form of cash back, so you don't have to worry about how to redeem them, and that card doesn't come with an annual fee, so there won't be any upfront cost to make up by earning cash back. Again, this isn't to say that the American Express Gold is a bad card or the annual fee is too high or anything like that, but before you sign up for a card with a high annual fee, you should definitely take some time to work out your spending, see what you spend the most money on, and make sure there isn't a free or low-cost card that could give you the same or better value. And finally, the last situation where I wouldn't recommend the Amex Gold is if you travel so often that a premium travel card like the American Express Platinum would be the better pick for you. Amex did just increase the Platinum's annual fee to $695, so you really have to travel a lot and frankly spend a lot to justify a card like that. And if you're not sure right now which card is right for you between the Gold and the Platinum, that's okay. In the next few weeks, I will be releasing a review of the Amex Platinum right here on the channel, as well as a comparison video between the Amex Gold and the Amex Platinum. When those videos are released, they will appear right here and right here at the left of your screen. If those videos are not released yet, then other credit card videos will appear there until those two particular videos are published. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching to the end. If you're interested in the Amex Gold, I welcome you to use my link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.